documents News 4 Investigates just obtained raises new questions about St. Charles County Prosecutor Tim Lohmar's sudden resignation.
Chief investigative reporter Lauren Traeger reveals what we know right now about his sudden departure.
Tim Lohmar was a popular prosecutor just reelected to a new term last year, but he abruptly resigned nearly 2 months ago, citing the challenging and grueling nature of the job, announcing he'd be going into private practice. That decision, though, has placed past allegations and current cases into more intense scrutiny. And we do want to warn you, some of the video of an incident we're about to show you might be disturbing. A woman bloodied on a hotel bed. Cell phone video provided to police from an incident at the Ameristar Casino in December 2020. Take that We're concealing the victim's identity, but police say this woman is Crystal Cole. Police say she hit the 38-year-old woman with her shoe. St. Charles City Police responded, took a report. Cole pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor in October last year and was sentenced to probation. But with the case almost concluded and only restitution still on the table, suddenly the judge ordered the case be sent to another county prosecutor because, quote, the St. Charles prosecutor's office has a conflict with the victim. A similar story with another case involving that same 38-year-old woman. In 2021, she reported sexual assaults by her then-boyfriend that had occurred months prior at her O'Fallon home. Police documents obtained by News 4 Investigates show that in June 2022, the St. Charles County Prosecuting Attorney's Office had refused charges on the ex-boyfriend. But by September, a case against him was going to grand jury. Notes from the prosecutor's office say the victim met with Prosecutor Tim Lohmar and his staff for 3 hours that month. But instead of taking it all the way to trial, though, that case, too, was sent out to another prosecutor in St. Louis County who dismissed the case altogether. A spokesperson for St. Louis County saying, quote, the case was not prosecutable in light of the totality of the evidence, declining to further elaborate. Because the case was dismissed, the file is closed and sealed from the public.
If Wesley Bell says we're not going to prosecute, well, case closed.
St. Louis University law professor Anders Walker says there can be a number of reasons why cases are conflicted out.
Usually there's some conflict of interest. So there could be a relationship maybe with one of the parties that could open the door to the appearance of bias of prosecution.
News 4 Investigates obtained email correspondence between Lohmar and the female victim. Lohmar writes back to her only once in January this year, advising her on the Crystal Cole case. But she responds multiple times, clearly frustrated at the outcome, though some of the emails are blacked out from our records request. The woman writes, quote, I didn't have a conflict. In fact, the opposite. I looked to your office to protect me. News 4 Investigates also combed through a year and a half of Lohmar's phone records. Starting in August last year, the woman and Lohmar exchanged nearly 50 phone calls and texts, often speaking on the phone for extended periods of time, in total talking for nearly 14 hours.
That sounds like they knew each other. And so the appearance of that may be grounds for moving to another prosecutor.
On the day her ex-boyfriend's case was dismissed by St. Louis County, Lohmar called her, that call lasting 18 minutes. Later that same day, she called him, that call lasting 31 minutes.
Unusual that he would be talking to her in the course of a prosecution.
Maybe. It could be, let's talk about the details. Let's go back over the details. What exactly do you remember? Maybe the prosecutor had questions about the police report. We don't know. It's possible.
But a source close to the office tells News 4 it would be very unusual and even improper for the elected prosecutor to speak that frequently with a victim, especially when there was an assistant attorney assigned to the case. We have been messaging that woman on Facebook. I asked if she and Lohmar were friends or if they talked a lot, to which she answered no. When asked about all of the calls, she said only, quote, I talked to Tim about the ex-boyfriend case. I asked what Lohmar had said about a special prosecutor. She wrote, he didn't really tell me. Because the assault case was dismissed, no one from the office will discuss it. As for the casino case, a spokesperson for the St. Charles County Prosecutor's Office wrote only, quote, the state made a motion because the victim believed there was a conflict of interest. The state believed a special prosecutor would prevent any appearance of a conflict of interest. When asked for additional clarification, including that the victim said she did not have a conflict, they said they would not be commenting further.
She's locked up in prison for the rest of her life.
Lohmar, not known to be camera shy while in office, hasn't done any interviews since his resignation. An attorney representing Lohmar texted us saying they would not respond to our investigation, writing, quote, "Having phone records that support my client's commitment to his duties doesn't seem newsworthy." Instead of the conflicts, Walker thinks Lohmar had another problem.
I think the DUI is an issue.
Walker says Lohmar's arrest on suspicion of DUI near the Lake of the Ozarks in July last year may have had more to do with his abrupt resignation.
Mothers Against Drunk Driving have already flagged him, and that's not a group you want banging on your door.
Though we discovered his office space is still under construction, Lohmar has entered private practice. His website advertising criminal defense, divorce, and DWI representation. That site now tops a Google search of his name, likely aided by a boost from his campaign funds. Finance reports show he's recently spent $2,000 a month for a service called Net Reputation, which offers, in part, to, quote, remove harmful content and information that has the potential to damage your hard-earned online reputation. Lohmar has not been charged, and while the Miller County prosecutor has said the DUI case is still open, the statute of limitations on that DUI would run out next month.
And even if they charge him, I don't think it necessarily hurts his business.
The woman in question has continued to express frustration to me, believing she did not get justice and that her abuser still walks free. She says she thinks her cases were conflicted out as a means of victim tampering left unchecked. She is currently suing the ex-boyfriend, who also faces another open assault charge out of Arnold. We reached out to an attorney representing that man who said, quote, "My client has been the victim of a smear campaign brought about by a woman with whom he tried to end his relationship. He denies any wrongdoing and only wants this nightmare to end." That casino case will now go to Warren County. An attorney representing Crystal Cole said they had no comment. A lot to follow here, and you can bet we will. I'm Lauren Traeger, News 4 Investigates.